Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And today, actually, a couple of weeks ago, we started something new, and today we're continuing it. And I totally forgot what I said that before we started. I totally forgot that we were going to have both of us on the screen. Everybody, this is Michal, and she is going to she's my co-host for a couple of times a month right now, and we're gonna rock it. This is gonna be awesome, and I'm so excited that you are here and that you're gonna be here consistently, and maybe it'll be more in the future. Who knows? But right now it's just twice a month, and man, it's cool. So Michal, just introduce yourself to everybody that hasn't met you yet, and let's kick this baby off.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I'm super excited to be here and be co-hosting a few times a month. And it really is because of my own journey with chronic illness and not being believed by the medical community and specialists and doctors and natural practitioners and, like being on the merry-go-round with that. Right. So through my own journey, I was able to fully resolve my autoimmune, genetic, and environmental illnesses. Don't need to manage them, don't have the symptoms, lab tests are normal, which is really remarkable. And so I've given my life and dedicated it to helping others know what's possible and to help them along that journey too. And so as much value as I can contribute to you guys in these shows is fulfilling for me. So thank you so much. And I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I'm the founder and owner of a wellness practice. We work globally, and I train practitioners underneath me to help other people on their own journeys as well. And so I'm very grateful to be here. And thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. This is good. What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about 5 breakthrough discoveries that I made in my journey to becoming fully healthy. And I think they kind of blow apart a lot of the regular paradigm and the stuff that we're taught and the options that we know we have. And so I'm not sure we're going to get through all 5 today, but we definitely need to cover these here in these next few episodes. So
well, if we don't cover them today, we'll just pick up where we left off next time in a couple of weeks and go from there. But just be warned, everybody. I just want to warn you ahead of time that this stuff is not what you've been taught. This is not this is going to totally rock the boat and turn your world upside down. And you're going to go, what in the world are they talking about? So I'm just warning you ahead of time so that when you get to the end of the episode and your head has exploded, you don't wonder why, in a good way, in the best possible way. And so it might challenge some of your very, very deeply held beliefs about, conditions and illnesses and the medicine and your doctors and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to throwing that out there ahead of time, so that you don't think we're just crazy over here. So,
and we might be.
I mean, it's really, yeah, you're right. That might be actually a separate question. Yeah, we'll cover that in another show.
All the way to crazy.
It's really thank you. Yes. Yeah. So what's the first one we want to talk about today?
First one we want to talk about is this.
All right.
Sympathetic dominance, which I told you I will explain these words coming out of my mouth. Sympathetic dominance is the one root cause of every chronic illness. Here we go.
The one root cause of every chronic illness.
Yep.
Okay. So what's some chronic? Let's just throw out some chronic permanent illnesses out there that people have believed over the years that have been chronic and maybe hereditary, and all that kind of stuff. Like what?
So many things. First of all, we define a chronic illness as any ongoing symptom, or if you have to take something or do something to keep a symptom at bay, then that's also a chronic problem, because if you didn't have the problem, you wouldn't have to mask it with something, right? So, I was told my autoimmune disease was permanent. So you have all of the autoimmune disease spectrum. All of that's a chronic ongoing illness.
Mhm.
There are genetic disorders nowadays. There's more people testing for them, whereas before there wasn't. But now
Mhm.
they're coming out with things like, oh, this is EDS, and oh, this is this genetic thing, and that at the MTHFR gene, is defective or whatever. So it's just like, then people attach to these labels and they think they found a root cause. Oh, I have this symptom because of this genetic disorder. We would consider the genetic disorder just another chronic issue. And, for me, I have a lot of genetic polymorphisms or defects. I have a genetic disorder, and was also told that was permanent. And so the interesting thing logically is, though, I didn't have symptoms of this forever. The symptoms got better, then they got worse. So it's like, you can't just say it's genetic. If my body can get better and I have times where my symptoms aren't causing problems and driving me nuts, then my body should be able to stay there all the time. So environmental illnesses, people say, food allergies, or they have heavy metal toxicity, or they have, injuries, illnesses from
Yeah.
injuries or surgeries. And, there's always some reason why the illness or the symptoms started that can be explained. Yeah. So those are some chronic illnesses.
And so one other thing is, if oh shoot, where was it? If it's something that, well, something, just because something's long term doesn't mean it's permanent, right? And if it's like, I don't remember what I was going to say on that, but I had a thought. Maybe I'll come back to it. If I think of it, I'll come back to it. But go ahead.
Fine. But I do like it. Just because it's been there for a long time, decades or whatever, doesn't mean that your body can't heal or recover either. I had mine for a decade and a half, that I knew of anyway. I mean, probably longer, that I didn't know what it was. And still my body was able to become fully healthy in like 3 to 5 months. So
I remember what you in the previous episode, in the episode on the 1st of September, you talked about, or October, you talked about the fact that your body turns over everything within like a year. So in order for you to have a chronic, so how can you possibly have a chronic lifelong thing?
Yes.
If your body completely regenerates itself, which
Yep.
blew my mind anyway, completely regenerates itself in what'd you say, like 8 months or something?
Well, so like 75% of it, our body's cells are replaced every 6 months.
There you go.
And there was a newer thing that came out, or that I was exposed to just in the last couple months, that our entire body's replaced in 11 months. So we originally thought
11
it was
months.
longer. But yeah, 11 months, our entire body, because of the bones.
So how could you possibly have some sort of lifelong condition if you're not contributing to it somehow?
Yep.
So anyway,
totally.
Just that one, yeah. That one's for free, everybody. We'll just throw that out there. You can marinate on that for a minute while she talks about the first thing. So
yes, and I think it ties in your learning, Jeff, because exactly, like our first point is sympathetic dominance, which I will explain. But essentially, if our bodies are replacing themselves with brand new cells, like our digestive system replaces itself every 30 days, the majority of our immune system is in our digestive system. All systems rely on the digestive system, and in functional medicine land, we always just assumed, like most people have leaky gut, they have digestive disorders. So we start there with diet and, supplements and these things to heal the gut lining. And so it's just amazing to me when I really started connecting the dots and thinking logically. It's like, wait a minute, how can everyone have digestive issues if that's the system that is replaced like the fastest,
Right.
And it is because when we are in sympathetic dominance, so let's explain that. That's the state of fight or flight. It's survival mode. People who are trauma informed might also know it as freeze or fawn. So I'm in fight or flight, or freeze or fawn.
I'm talking about those, if people don't know what those are. Everybody's heard fight or flight, but what's the other two?
Oh, that's good. So yeah, usually, the fight response is like anger outbursts. And, you think of like, I'm either going to fight you and become the bully, or I'm going to run away, right? Yeah. Fight or flight, and so I'm going to, I might be a perfectionist to avoid confrontation. And when I'm flighting away from things, I might become a workaholic. It's like, I got to make sure everything's totally good. And I'm going to run away from the problems. Freeze is more like I have a hard time making decisions, and I'm frozen, and I have a hard time being motivated, and I have a hard time taking action. Even if I know the right action, I can't make myself get up and do it. And then there's fawn, which is kind of like after you've been here and exhausted the nervous system to such a state. Some people do fawn, and in the animal kingdom, that would be playing dead. So fawn is like, I will, I'll people please. I'll go along with whatever you want. I don't really know who I am. A lot of trauma victims that get trauma bonded, they are in that. I don't really know who I am. And so I'm isolated and dissociated. A little bit of freeze can be that too. But essentially I'm just giving up whoever I am. I will just keep the peace at all costs.
See, that one is way more common than most people realize, I think, because I know when I heard about that, like everybody knows what fight or flight is, but the freeze and fawn, that was brand new to me not that long ago. So the fawn is the one that really blew my mind, because I know everybody knows at least a couple people that are, they might not like it, but they just roll over and agree to just about everything. And it's because their sympathetic nervous system is burnt out. Right.
So, and that's the codependence, and that's the empaths that pick the narcissist. So narcissism actually is a fight response. Whereas like the empath, the negative side of the empath, right? But the codependent relationship, just attached, that's usually the fawn response. So yes, it's very fascinating. So all of that is when we are in the sympathetic nervous system, which is what kicks on and into gear to keep us surviving and to keep us safe. But we're not supposed to live in that system. We're supposed to be there if we need to, and then we should be able to regulate. There's a great book. It's called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And it talks about, I know, I love it, but it talks about the science of stress and cortisol and these different nervous system responses. And I was recently reminded of it this week. And what's fascinating is after a traumatic incident or something that was life-threatening, zebras know how to go take care of themselves. And so they go under the tree in the shade, and they lay down, and sometimes they shake it out. They let their bodies shake and process the emotions, and they really rest and recuperate and get themselves back into what we would call the parasympathetic nervous system. And so because even though they're exposed to high stress situations, because they actually regulate immediately afterwards, they're not living in that fight or flight state, that sympathetic dominant state. And so for a long time, I was so focused on the body and how to find root causes. And as a functional medicine practitioner, I thought I was, it's leaky gut, and it's food allergies, and it's these genetic deficiencies. Let's run a genetic panel so that we know the right supplements and foods and what to avoid and blah, 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 all these things. And, let's avoid toxins and let's detox your system. And I even did nervous system regulation. And I put that in air quotes because I was using a modality, a technique, or a tool just to stimulate the nervous system. But as soon as someone stopped using it, boom, they'd be right back where they started in a dysregulated state. So they'd have to keep using it. And I'm like, something's missing. And so in my own journey to discover, okay, food allergies can't be the root cause, though, because that's not normal. That's an immune system that's already dysregulated. So that's just another symptom. It was like everything that people were talking about that they were causing, that they were calling a root cause. To me, when I really started, again, thinking cap on, logical thinking cap on, I was like, but what's causing that? But what's causing that? But what's causing that? And the more I got down to like, these are all just symptoms. And no, I shouldn't just take out the food I'm sensitive to. I should fix my immune system so I'm not sensitive to the food, because that's not a fully healthy thing. Fully healthy people don't have food sensitivities. So I was trying to figure out, what don't I know? I don't know. Clearly I'm missing something. And is it really possible to become fully healthy again? Or am I really stuck the rest of my life managing disease? And it was not making sense to me anymore, because if I could have those foods sometimes, but not all the time, there were just inconsistencies, you know? And so that's what led me to more of the root. And what I really uncovered was the nervous system. And so sympathetic dominance, when our bodies are in that state, we compromise every cell in the body. We function very differently in that state. And so if we stay there, our body's ability to repair itself is turned off, and our body's ability to function optimally, normally is turned off. And so of course, if we stay in that state, our body can't heal itself, and our body can't function optimally, which creates symptoms in the long term.
So, but okay, so what about the person, like, okay, allergies, food allergies, huge topic. Everybody, you could throw a rock in any direction, hit 3 people with a peanut allergy right nowadays, right? Or gluten or whatever. Peanut allergy. One of my nephews and my father-in-law, in fact, he was on the show talking about it, have had like peanut out, like if he ate a peanut and didn't get to the hospital, he could die, kind of thing.
Yes.
So if it's been from birth, like my nephew, from birth, I think he's 18 now. He has avoided peanuts and several other things his entire life because he was told that was an allergy that would kill him. He's got EpiPens and all the things. See, yep. So many people get so attached to this, and it's an identity, and it's like a life-altering identity that if you tell them that it can be cured, it's almost like a slap in the face.
Oh yes.
Right? It's like, no, it's almost like downplaying the allergy and saying, yes. Oh no, you don't have to deal. Why have you been dealing with it for so long? It's, so you got to be a little, am I crazy, or do you have to be kind of careful how you approach that? Or like,
yes. I piss a lot of people off. And
yeah.
My clients, right, I had anaphylactic reactions to food. So I'm not sitting here from like, oh, I had dinky little food sensitivities. Yes, I had those too. I did have dinky little food sensitivities. I also had major allergies that caused anaphylactic reactions.
There you go.
Living proof of it right here. And people didn't understand it. And yes, they would think I was crazy or making it up, because I also was sensitive to like perfumes and car exhaust and like things that aren't, at least people understand peanut allergies nowadays, but they didn't understand some of the other things like gluten. It's more common now. People are starting to think that, okay, I understand you're not making up that you're sensitive to gluten. But back in, when I was growing up, no, everyone thought I was nuts, right? Oh, yeah. And are you really reacting? Are you just making this up? So there is that. And I feel very bad that people deal with that with chronic illness, that we're not believed how serious it is. However, I really am living proof that yes, even those things went away when I regulated my nervous system. I got out of sympathetic dominance because my immune system no longer produced those antibodies. And I was able to introduce the stuff that I was even autoimmune reactive to, had the test to prove it, autoimmune reactive. Yeah. And even those I was able to introduce back with no problems in a regulated state. And so, yes, what's interesting that you talk about, I didn't know you were going to go that deep today, is that people really do have identities wrapped up into their illnesses, and it's just something that happens. Yeah. And Eckhart Tolle, love his books and stuff. I think it was in The Power of Now, one of his books. He was actually talking about when you start threatening an egoic identity, it will do anything in its power to protect itself. And so it's interesting because I see this in my clients. They're actually getting healthy. We ran into this just in the last couple of weeks. Someone who had ADHD and fibromyalgia, and in about 4 months of nervous system regulation, had no symptoms from those lab, all of that.
Love it.
On, regulated. And actually they're in practitioner training now. They're a master herbalist, and they want to become a practitioner to teach people this work because it's so powerful. Yeah. They don't want to just only give a remedy. They want to help people get fully healthy. And so they were sharing with someone about ADHD, and the backlash that they got was insane. Yeah. And they literally said, you are either delusional, you're either lying to yourself, or you were originally misdiagnosed, because that's not possible.
Yes, exactly. I know somebody that's lived with fibromyalgia for as long as I've known her, for 20 years. And you can physically, visibly see it on her being, her face, her body, her body language. She is in pain a lot of the time, most of the time, if not all of the time. But if you were to walk up to her and tell her that it can be eliminated, she would almost feel insulted. Almost.
Exactly. Yes.
Because how dare you? Are you saying that this isn't real?
I know. Yeah. When I first heard this, and I think I've shared on some of the other videos, and also I might as well say it while it's popping up. So allergies and fibromyalgia are on an autoimmune spectrum. And we had another show a while back where we actually talked about autoimmunity. So that would be a great one, because there are tests. If you don't know TH dominance, I'm like, there's so much education out there beyond just what I'm talking about in the nervous system that shows that there's a lot that can be done. So that might be good to go revisit. But
sorry, if we went kind of a rabbit trail. Let's get back.
I mean, even in my own experience, I try to tell people, it's when I first heard this, I was pissed, and my first thought to myself was this. It was, just wait.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was resigned, didn't know it. I thought I was very open-minded. And I was resigned, and I was cynical, and I was so enmeshed in these unconscious beliefs and what I was taught in school, even holistic medicine that says you'll manage this forever or whatever. So I was like, A, that's crazy. B, don't believe it. C, I'm just going to watch this gal, because it was somebody I knew that was saying, no, 5 autoimmune diseases went away. I can eat gluten again. I witnessed her doing it. She was off her meds. And instead of me being like, wow, tell me more, it was like, just wait. That's not possible. And I, honest to God, expected to watch her. And like 3 months went by, and I was like watching her, and 6 months went by, and a year went by, and I'm like expecting her to break down, because I just knew that wasn't real, and that her immune system was going to come back and, give her tons of food allergies and tons of problems. And it never happened. So it was years later. It took me years. I was still sick. She was still healthy. And I had a humbling moment to say, maybe I'm the one that's missing something. And maybe I'm sick of where I'm at. I'm sick of food allergies. I'm sick of having to constantly heal my gut and detox and not eat anything and take all these supplements, and they're expensive, and see the chiropractor. I'm sick of this. And so it wasn't until I was sick of where I was at that I was actually truly open to learning more. I had to reach rock bottom. And so I did. And that's when I started.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it takes rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I was, when I first talked to you back in December of last year, when we first met and we started, and I heard you speak, and I was like, oh, Catherine, I don't know if there's anything to this, but holy smokes, we gotta check this out. And I think I've gone from skeptical, and because I'm obviously very attached to the condition I was born with, because it has required me to have 15 surgeries, 7 of them brain surgeries, over the last 47 years of life. I mean, the last brain surgery I had was just shy of 3 years ago. This has been an ongoing thing. And when there's surgery and like mechanical devices involved, I was like, well, okay, right. But that doesn't apply to me. But I feel like I've gone since then, I feel like I've just a few short months, I've gone from, I don't think so. I don't know if that doesn't apply to me, to cautiously optimistic. So it's like, I'm still in process here, but I'm cautiously optimistic that this is because I'm feeling things better than I did 6 months ago. So I know there's something to it. I'm still kind of in that cautious optimism phase. So,
I know. I had all these caveats, and I hear them all day long. I know we might have to go to a commercial break, but it's like, I hear them all day long. Oh, but I have this. Like, oh, I get it. It sounds so cool. But could it work with this? And we're like, yes, but nobody gets it until we really dive into it and they experience it themselves.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you don't have to believe it's true. You're not going to until you're the living proof. And even after it worked for me, it still took me probably 2 years, not even kidding. I was still waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yep.
Every test I ran, because it's like, obviously you get your labs run every year, every responsible adult should. And it's like, it was always like hold your breath. Is it going to come back clean again this year? And that's like, oh, it did. Oh my gosh, this is real. This is true. And then now it's like, of course it comes back clean. I'm fully healthy. It's been so long. But my beliefs took years to unwind, even after I had black and white proof, no sign of your autoimmune disease, no sign of your autoimmune disorder, no sign of your genetic disorder, no sign of your food allergies. Like the tests are clean. And it's like, that's impossible. And then, it's like the first time I ate gluten, it's like, can I really eat this? Am I reacting? Is this the placebo effect? After years, you're like, oh no, it's fine. But people don't need to believe it first. I say you got to experience it and you got to be educated first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I think let's go to a commercial real quick, and then we'll come back and dive into these 5 things that we haven't really covered any of yet.
I know, we're on number 1.
We're on number 1. That's all right. We got plenty of time. So we'll do that. But I want to say this first. What popped into my head when you were saying that was from I'm trying to remember which Mission Impossible movie it was, but Anthony Hopkins was talking to Tom Cruise, and he said, well, this isn't Mission Difficult, Mr. Hunt. This is Mission Impossible. If it was Mission Difficult, it's Mission Impossible. So, but you can still get it done. He never not finish. He never doesn't finish a mission. It's even though it's impossible, right? So, anyway, so it's a thing. It's a thing. So, all right, okay, everybody, seriously, stick around. You got to hear this stuff. It's going to blow your mind. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
Hi, Eva Baca Currents here, and I am the host of One Punch Superstars, where we meet real people who chose to fight for their hopes and their dreams and become the champions of their destiny. You can find us on Achieve TV every Tuesday and Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time, right here on E360 TV.
Hey, all right, everybody, welcome back. Before we bring Michal back and dive into some more of this amazing stuff, I wanna talk to you about Invisible Condition University. So, Invisible Condition University is something I wish I would have had 10 years ago. Like, seriously, I've had 4 brain surgeries and 2 others in the last 10 years. This would have been huge. Every time I had surgery, my wife Catherine and I were and my family were kind of left out in the cold, without anybody to help me. Once you leave the hospital, it can be really tough. And so that's why Catherine and I created ICU. We wanted to provide a place where other people like us, maybe like you, could, find community, that listens, that cares, that walks with you through what you're going through, no matter where you are in that process. We meet on Zoom twice a month, first and third Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Don't worry, they're all recorded. So as a member of the community, you can always go back and watch anything if you weren't able to attend live. Our next one will be on Tuesday, October 15th, which you can, I think you can see in the background here. And we invite you to come, people that are living with those conditions and their caregivers and their family members, whoever's helping you, come and know that this is a safe place for you to ask questions, vent frustrations, find information that you maybe weren't getting from your medical provider. I don't know, just a hunch. To join the community, scan the QR code or go to invisibleconditionuniversity.com. And man, I can't wait to see you there. Can't wait to meet you. And we'll see you soon, hopefully. So, all right, let's bring Michal back on here and see what the heck we're going to dive into here. We covered a lot in that first. I know I kind of went down a rabbit hole there. So we're going to.
Yeah, Mission Impossible is literally what we do every single day. And
it's not mission difficult. Yeah.
We've not seen it not work. So
right.
Thus far,
I love that.
100% outcomes.
There's not a lot of people that can say that, by the way. Just so you know. Yeah. When's the last time you heard even a functional medicine doc tell you that? Never in a million years. So this is big deal. This is a big deal. So, All right, let's dive in. What's the first one?
Well, first of all, I wish I would have had ICU in my day. I just wanted to say, I'm always touched and moved when you talk about it. And my family needed it as well. My mom's very empathetic and, my dad's pretty reserved. And so it's not understanding what was happening. It just would have been so helpful to have the whole family unit have support. So thank you.
I mean, 2 weeks old, first brain surgery. Can you imagine? My parents in their, they were 20, what were they, 29 when I was born? 29-year-olds with their first baby boy at their 2-week checkup. And just kidding, we're going to do brain surgery. That kind of community would have been amazing. So that's what we're going for. So thank you.
So, okay, number 1 is sympathetic dominance is the root cause. So I want to talk about that because everyone says, well, but what about Lyme disease, right? You have Lyme bacteria. Mm-hmm. Well, when you really look at it, not everyone who gets bitten by a tick that has Lyme bacteria or whatever gets Lyme disease. Lyme disease is an autoimmune disease because the immune system then cannot regulate back out, basically cannot address the bacteria. So it's just, anything that we look at, really it points right back to the nervous system, that in a regulated state, in the parasympathetic, if we were there all the time, our bodies would be functioning optimally and the self-repair mechanism would be turned on. We produce regenerative hormones. You know, everybody's into like the stem cell patches and stem cell shots and stuff like that. Well, did you know your parasympathetic produces stem cells? So it's like
without the patches. Wait a minute. What? Hold on.
You could be producing them all the time, you know, and then stem cells know where to do that in the body. So most of what we've been told, even in holistic, alternative, integrative medicines, it's still we're using things on the outside to try to stimulate the body to do something. Well, when you're in the proper state, anything your body needs to do, it's able to do. So even if there's an injury, even if we're exposed to a toxin, because toxins are evil and so bad, and it's kind of true. But if our bodies are able to detox and our systems are at optimal capacity for detox, then that doesn't bother us anymore. So I could not tolerate pesticides before or GMOs before, and now it's no problem. You know, I couldn't breathe car exhaust. I couldn't be exposed to like non-natural scents, chemicals, because the chemicals in them would cause an autoimmune reaction. I would attack my blood vessels. Like that was my autoimmune disease. So now I can be exposed to those same triggers and I don't have the inflammatory autoimmune reaction because my body is fully healthy. So it's really amazing, like all those things I kind of learned to fear or learn to avoid or learn to blame. Like I did have heavy metal toxicity. I lived on a Superfund site. I totally get that line of thinking. But my body just detoxes now and I don't have to do anything for detox. I'm in the parasympathetic and that system is turned on. So, you know, we had one of our practitioners actually got HIV and was given 3 months to live. I don't know if I've talked about him before on the show.
I don't know if you've talked about him specifically, but I do remember you talking about a case with HIV. But
so it's just interesting. It's like, you know, that's like the Lyme bacteria thing. It's like, well, but that's an actual thing. Yes, it is. But when you regulate the immune system and you give your body a chance to stay in the regenerative and repair system all the time, it's miraculous what we're able to do. And then when we're producing those new cells, we're producing fully functioning, healthy cells.
Wow.
And so what we really boil the people that we work with, it all comes down to nervous system dysregulation. So that's number one. It's
and so that person that you were talking about with HIV, they don't, that's not a problem anymore, is what the point of your story. That's the end of the story is no more 3 months to live. They're good.
Yes. In 3 months, they actually had a functioning immune system again, which was unheard of. In 6 months, it was better than average. We're never supposed to have kids, have a beautiful 7-year-old to this day, test are clean, symptoms are gone. And it's really beautiful. And they got into like heart math and some other really beautiful nervous system work too in their journey. And so it's just, you know, I love the powerful stories because it's like, well, that was permanent and life threatening. So so if it can happen there, it can happen for you too, you know.
If that can be taken care of, just about anything can, I think.
Yes, I know.
Wow. All right, what's next?
Number 2, parasympathetic dominance, so it's the opposite system, allows the body to self-repair 24/7 and maintain homeostasis where there are no chronic symptoms. So we already kind of were into this, but let's talk about it. So being in the parasympathetic nervous system all the time, which we're taught isn't possible, by the way. In my schooling, I was literally taught it's not possible. You fluctuate between both all the time. So we're even in those belief systems, we are told, don't even try. Well, in my own experience, I get to live in a regulated state. And it's almost funny. It's like, even when my fight or flight system is engaged, because I've witnessed some challenging things that were scary. I've literally had to be in fight or flight to run away or whatever. But I was still more regulated in that state and able to think through choices. And I was able to access my creative thinking and I was able to stay in a whole brain state, even in the fight or flight system. So it's like, because I know how to live here all the time, even if those systems are engaged or there is something stressful or challenging, I'm actually still able to stay way more regulated than I ever was. And then I'm able to regulate very quickly after. So
you know what else that, you know, I mean, this is just an example that everybody can relate to because everybody's heard this story, right? The 4-minute mile thing, right? It's impossible until it's not. And then once it's not, the year that guy broke the record for the 4-minute mile, like 38 other people or something that year broke the same, like did the under the 4-minute mile. So if you can do it, so can anybody else. They just didn't, so many people just don't know it's possible to do it.
Totally true. I tell people all the time, there is nothing special about me that is not in you too. Nothing special about my body or my illnesses or my conditions. This is literally just how it works. We're teaching a new understanding of physiology. Like once you know how your body works and it's not scary, and you know, then it becomes possible. And the number one thing I think people struggle with is the beliefs. And it's most of the clients end up working with, they've hit rock bottom, so they're willing to try anything.
Yep.
But you don't have to wait to hit rock bottom. You can decide at rock bottom and then start going up.
It's better not to, by the way. Don't wait. You don't have to wait until you're there. Yeah. If you're hearing this and you're not at rock bottom, that's okay. That's all right.
Yes. So when we are in self-repair 24/7, when we're in the parasympathetic, we maintain homeostasis. So that's a fancy word for all biochemical reactions are functioning the way they should. In medical textbooks, anatomy and physiology, it literally says our nervous system is monitoring everything in the body. When it detects an imbalance, it works to create a symptom. It's like a check engine light. We all freak out that there's symptoms going on, but if we actually understood how to understand the check engine light versus the gas empty light, we wouldn't freak out. We would just do what we need to do. So our bodies are communicating with us, and if we can understand what they're saying, we can take appropriate action and resolve the symptoms within minutes. So if any symptom comes up now that I know this information, I can find the root cause and I can immediately resolve it, usually within minutes, within a day, very, very quickly. And so when there's homeostasis, anatomy and physiology textbooks say there are no symptoms in homeostasis. That's literally it. So when we don't have homeostasis, when there's an imbalance in the body, the nervous system works to create a symptom to alert us of that. And so every symptom, every condition makes sense in context. And if you know how to understand and figure out that story, there's no mystery anymore. And you know exactly what to do to regulate and get your body back to a fully functioning state. Are we ready for number 3?
Bring it on.
Okay.
Are we ready? I don't know. Are we? Okay.
Hopefully. All right. Suppressing symptoms in any way disrupts the body's natural healing process, triggering a fight or flight response that leads to the issues becoming chronic. I'm going to say that again. When I suppress a symptom in any way, it interrupts the body's natural healing process, which triggers a fight or flight response, which makes the issue become chronic. So let's discuss this. There are certain things, tools, remedies, modalities, and techniques that we use for our symptoms that actually suppress a symptom. So inflammation is a common one. Let's talk about that. When I suppress inflammation with an anti-inflammatory medication or a natural remedy like curcumin or turmeric or resveratrol, I get rid of my body's inflammation. So we might think that it's working because our symptoms go away for the short term, but it actually just interrupted what the body was doing and why it was trying to use inflammation to correct something in the body. And so by the definition of suppressing and interrupting the body goes back into a fight or flight state. And usually there are no symptoms when we're in fight or flight. It's when the body's trying to heal and regulate that symptoms develop. This is also, I know this is totally backwards of what we're taught.
So what I was talking to you about earlier today when we were talking about what happened this weekend, and I was feeling I could feel symptoms coming on. I could feel the headaches and the ticks and all that stuff. So I went out and basically set an alarm, laid down, passed out, woke up and felt 1,000% better because I gave my body a chance to rest and repair itself in the parasympathetic versus in the past, what my Band-Aid would pop 1,000 milligrams of Advil and keep going.
Yep.
Right.
And then what would happen later? Tell them what happens later if you do that. You feel better in the moment, but then what?
You feel great in the moment, and then your body completely comes to a head, and you end up completely crashing and doing things that you, like I was telling you, I never, some people, like everybody has a common symptom that happens when they get sick or when they, I have never been the guy that throws up, right? I've never been that guy. But a few weeks ago, after a really long, really arduous weekend of just go, and not taking care of myself and not taking care of my parasympathetic nervous system, I literally collapsed on the floor and threw up and had, all the things like that. And then once that happened, it was like a switch went off in my brain. I was like, oh my gosh. You know what just happened, Catherine? Yeah. She's like, yeah. Of course I know what just happened. I just wasn't sure what was going on at the time, but yeah, I know what happened. So It was because the sympathetic was just running me over, basically.
Yep. And it was the moment you got relief, like the moment you were coming home off the airport, like, whoo, I'm out of survival mode from this conference or whatever. That's when the healing symptoms began. And I'll share more of that, I'm sure, on future episodes.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's true. It's a real thing. It's so crazy. And then once you realize it, it doesn't take long to be like, oh shoot. Okay.
Yes. So nowadays it's like if we do any tools or someone wants to take a supplement, we make sure it's supporting what the body's naturally doing, like a fever, right? You don't want to take a fever reducer. You want to like have the fever because it's working on purpose.
Yeah.
And we actually do like I love my little master herbalist that I use. He's not little, he's a big, wonderful person. But they do a fever bath, and it actually intensifies the fever so fast so that in 20 minutes your fever starts coming down naturally. Like ginger is literally a warming thing, right? Ginger is literally in the fever bath tea formula. And so this is the same.
So my mom is so traditional in that sense. And so when when one of our kids would have a fever, if she ever caught wind of it, she'd be like, Tylenol and fluids and but Tylenol is the first thing. Tylenol or Advil or something would be like the first thing, reduce the fever so they feel better, so they can go to sleep. And, and that's, I mean, you mean well. It's not like she's trying to, people from a generation that believed a certain thing. They're not trying to harm you. They're just operating in incorrect information. And so we have gotten to the point now that it kind of drives the kids crazy, but they understand why we're doing it. It's like, no Tylenol, go lay down, go rest and go drink fluids and go eat some food and give your body some fuel so it can fight this and get done what needs to get done,
Yes. I used to have strep throat or whatever the tonsil issues were. And yes, I would take a bunch of stuff first, right? It was like the antibiotics and all that. Then I went natural. So it was like neem and oregano and garlic and all of those things, right? Yep. And I would hammer that on. And mostly I would hammer that on because I was so afraid, because if you leave strep throat, it could turn into pandas, right? I knew too much that I had extra things to be scared of because I knew too much. But
it's like going to WebMD. Don't do that.
Yes. Oh, don't do that. You'll never Google your symptoms. I know. But when I really started learning this, I was scared to implement it at first. There was so much conditioned fear that we have in the collective here. And I'm wrapping up here in a few. I know we gotta.
No, you're good. You got a few minutes. We got a couple minutes.
I decided, I saw this work in so many other areas of my life. And so I remember, one of the first times I was just trusting my body that it was actually healing the imbalances that were already in the tonsils. And so when the infection showed up, I knew it was in the healing phase. And I did not want to interrupt it because then it would just continue coming back over and over and over again, like it had my whole life. And so after I let my body do the whole process, it was fascinating because my tonsils cleared up faster than they did with the supplements, which I thought the supplements and the antibiotics were the thing clearing the infection up. It wasn't. Right. My body naturally cleared it up. and I have not had it return since. So my whole
Nice.
life using these interrupting things so I feel better in the moment really just allowed my body to put, it was like, okay, I'm trying to heal this thing here. And you just put it on pause. And so it says, okay, I'll attempt it later. And it would try again to heal this imbalance in my tonsils later. And I kept interrupting it over and over and over, thinking I was healing it with supplements. And sure enough, the time I let it fully complete its process, it never came back. To this day, it has never come back, which is just extraordinary because my body fully got to complete the healing, and now my tonsils in the whole area is at optimal function. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. It's in the small areas, but it's also in the big areas. And mostly we've just lost trust for our bodies because I call it a brokenness paradigm. We are literally taught that our body is broken. We are not taught that everything that's going on in the body is by design. It's intelligent. Nature is not broken. And it knows what it's doing. And if I trust it and work with it, then I don't have these chronic issues because I'm helping the body be and get back to its natural rhythms and states.
Right. It's like, I don't remember where I heard it, but I think I've told you this before. I've said it on several shows. It's like you're not depressed because you have a Zoloft deficiency in your system. That's not,
or
there's not like a
Johnswort deficiency
or whatever. Yeah. Or vitamin C or vitamin D or zinc or whatever. Yeah. You shouldn't have to take any of it. So
exactly. Yeah. And if you are, it's funny because I went down that whole route like, oh, well, I really am deficient in this. So that does make logical sense. But again, why? It's only in a compromised state that we don't digest and absorb all the nutrients that we need. And also, when we're in a fight or flight state, we require so many more nutrients. So not only do our nutrient needs go up, so we burn through our stores of them, but we also are compromised where we can't digest and absorb and assimilate and utilize the food that we are eating and the nutrition that we are taking in. Plus we have so much toxins in the cell because that system shut down too, that then again, we can't absorb it into the cell. So it doesn't matter if you drink green juice all the time. You have to detox first.
So maybe that's what we talk about sometimes is you the supplements aren't because you're deficient in that, or the fact that you're deficient in that, the solution isn't more vitamins, it's repair is get back into the parasympathetic. You don't need all the fistful of supplements.
Yes, that's very true.
That could be another one. Yeah, we'll talk about that another day.
I know it saves hundreds of dollars right now.
There you go. Exactly. I just gave you a raise, everybody. Yes. Well, we are officially out of time, but we got through 2 out of the 5, right?
We got through 3, so we only
did we get to 3? Okay. All right. So join us on the next show. I can't remember what day it is. I'll find it. Let me see. It's on it will be where is it? There it is. There we go. 15th. So November 5th will be the next show with Michal. So tune in on November 5th because that is when we'll talk about the last 2 here and probably dive into something else and go down another rabbit hole somewhere. So it'll be good. And by the way, this QR code that's been on the screen the entire time is how to get a hold of Michal. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, yes, that's me. I gotta get in touch with her. Or how dare you? We need to talk. I did whatever, all of it. Scan the QR code.
Exactly. I welcome all of it. And you don't have to believe it, but we definitely can have you experience some nervous system work within yourself. And I think that's the most eye-opening thing there is when you see it in yourself, it's just undeniable when you experience it in your own experience. And so you get to do that. We do that for free with everybody so they actually can experience this. So
nice. I love it. That's so cool. So yeah, I mean, I think we're about out of time, but this is so cool, and I can't wait I'm excited for 2.5 weeks from now, so we can continue this talk and tackle the rest of the last 2 here. So I know we're ending on a cliffhanger. Sorry, everybody, but we'll see you on November 5th again for Michal, but we will see you on October 18th for the next show. So So please join us on October 18th. And if you are watching on, wherever you're watching, like, subscribe, share, all the things. Thank you for being here. So excited to share more with you later. And thank you, Michal, for being here. This is awesome. I'm so excited we're doing this. So This is awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.